Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Carrolet Thomas, and welcome to my channel. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Today's message is stay in your lane. This is a prophetic word and prophetic warning from God. Stay in your lane. For several months, I have had a critter visit my office window ledge. It was on the outside, looking in and eavesdropping, I imagine. Its frequent appearances were interesting to me, as I had never experienced that before. But I was not too alarmed because I was on the inside and it was on the outside. However, a couple of weeks ago, to my dismay, I discovered it made a noisy entrance into my dwelling place. And that is where my living nightmare began. First, let's define critter. Critter is an informal, often affectionate slang term for any living creature, usually a small animal, insect, or a household pet. When people refer to critters in a nuisance context, they usually mean mammals like raccoons, squirrels, possums, rats, and mice that get into attics, chew through wires, or raid gardens. Now, back to my story. For whatever reason, that critter decided that it was not satisfied having a window to view me from the outside, but rather wanted to meet me in person. That was not a good idea. I was not looking to get to know it better. After seeking professional removal and a trap being set, I was told that it should be captured within a short period of time. However, in this instance, this critter was the exception. It refused to be tempted by the things that, according to experts and people with experience, that type of critter is drawn to. For 5 days, it ran through my home, causing trauma and terror by its mere presence. It created havoc, knocking things down and disturbing my peace. Why it thought it had the right to be inside my home, try to be like me, try to take over my life and my possessions, I don't know. And to be honest, I really think that it had the devil in it. I could see others, like its kind, were outside having fun, doing their normal activities. But this one was not. And with it being inside my home, I realized that I had not seen it in several days on my windowsill outside my office window. So, wonder of wonders, I believe that this was that critter. Multiple times, it was invited to leave peacefully through the front door. It would go as close as looking out and then turn and run around inside. That was a big mistake. My patience was running out and my safety was being compromised. I had already injured myself on day 2 trying to get out of its way when it was running in my direction, nearly falling down. Clearly, this critter had not heard about Psalm 105, verse 15, and 1 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 22. Touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. Or else just didn't care, and or wanted to fool around and find out. I cannot tell you how many people of all backgrounds and cultures got involved with trying to get rid of this critter. One even coming in from out of town to assist. And it was seemingly to no avail, as there seemed to be no end in sight. However, Sunday came. Hallelujah. Day 5. However, grace had run out due to its increasingly aggressive behavior and its determination to upend my life. The chance to exit gracefully and on its own recognizance had expired. Let's just say that things did not end well for it. However, God did bring relief. Hallelujah. If only that critter had stayed in their lane. If only that critter had been focused on being who God created it to be, doing what God created it to do, having what God created it to have, and being where God created it to be, things would have gone well for it. Well, God says what he means, and God means what he says. And God says, touch not mine anointed and do my prophets no harm. And that includes humans and critters. And that is precisely what God is saying to us in this prophetic warning. Stay in your lane. There are too many people that are trying to be people that God did not create them to be. God has given every person at least one gift, and whatever gift and or gifts that he has given us is a gift that he wants us to have. For some reason or another, the prophetic has become an attractive trait that many people want to profess ownership of in their spiritual portfolio. Well, being a prophet is a position that God handpicks before we are born. We are mouthpieces for God, and integrity is a hallmark that we have. It is not as glamorous as it looks. Though we cry loud and spare not, people do not listen, and people do not want to obey. There are many people that are wannabe prophets, and others are just outright lying about being prophets. And God is saying that he is going to deal with all of them because, like the critter that came inside my home, they will not stay in their own lane. It is a dangerous thing to be jealous, envious, and covetous of others and want to be, do, and or have what they have, whether it is a person, place, thing, and or idea. It is also dangerous to disobey God. There will be sacrifices for disobedience, per 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22, and there will be curses per Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 29. And we see this in the Bible. There is a story of a man who touched the Ark of the Covenant. And let's see how that turned out for him. The man most famously known for touching and dying for the Ark of the Covenant is Uzzah. According to the biblical accounts in 2 Samuel chapter 6 and 1 Chronicles chapter 13, he was struck dead by God for directly touching the sacred gold-covered chest. Key details of the event. Who he was. Uzzah was the son of Abinadab, in whose house the ark had rested for many years. The incident. King David and the Israelites were attempting to transport the ark to Jerusalem on an ox cart. When the oxen stumbled at a threshing floor, the ark began to tilt. Uzzah reached out and grabbed it to steady it. The consequence: because he touched it, God's wrath broke out against Uzzah, and he died on the spot. The location: King David was angered and afraid by the event, naming the location Perez Uzzah, which translates to burst out against Uzzah. Why Uzzah was struck dead? Violation of divine law. God had provided explicit, strict instructions on how to handle the ark. It was only to be carried on the shoulders of the Levites, specifically the Kohathites, using long poles slipped through rings on its sides. Placing it on the ox cart was a violation of these strict rules. Irreverence and holiness. God's severe reaction demonstrated the absolute holiness of his presence and the severe consequences of violating his commands, regardless of Uzzah's well-intentioned and seemingly helpful actions. After the tragedy, David left the ark at the home of Obed-Edom, whose household was heavily blessed during its 3-month stay. David later brought the ark to Jerusalem using the correct Levite-led method of transportation. Yes, disobedience to God can cost you your life. In this season, God's patience has run out. God is no respecter of persons. So, if you think you are the exception because of who you are, who you think you are, who people tell you are, who you know, and or who knows you, how many degrees you have, and what kind and level they are, how much money you have, your job, titles, and or positions, your awards, honors, and honorariums, your professional and social networks, your neighborhood, your designer clothes, shoes, and accessories, the number of stamps in your passport, your travel, domestic and or international, your marital status, parental status, church affiliation, etc. You are sadly mistaken. God is God. And God is prophetically warning those that have the tendency to overstep boundaries, lie, and discredit others, try to be God in other people's lives, and try to be God in their own lives, etc., to stay in your lane. I hope and pray that this message has been a blessing to you. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for listening and supporting my YouTube channel. God bless you and just be happy.